Hello yogis, and welcome to day 12 of our 14-day yoga challenge, and I'm so glad to see you carrying on. Today I thought I'd bring something a little bit different into our practice. Obviously we've done lots of, over the last few days, a couple of weeks, we've done things like twisting, we've done forward fold, we've done backward bends, we've done balancing. What I want to introduce you now in the last 3 days are different types of yoga. I teach Hatha yoga, which is the sort of yoga you've been practicing over the last few days. I also teach chair yoga. Chair yoga is actually really, really good for people who have mobility issues. It's really good for people who have issues with their knees or their ankles, but also if you're recovering from any illnesses. Also, equally, on the other end of the spectrum, it's absolutely brilliant if you're stuck at a desk all day. So you can do these in the sort of quiet of your own office, or sort of find somewhere quiet to do these once you do sort of yoga sitting down, basically, and it's really, really useful. It can be as strong or as gentle as you want it to be. So I thought today we'd just do a little short practice of some chair yoga. So if you've got a chair, which I hope you have one around you, if you want to bring your feet nice and flat on the floor, if you can't touch the floor with your feet, you might just want to pop a book or a blanket or something just underneath your feet, just so that you feel a little bit more grounded, feel more connection with the earth. I've got a nice little sort of folding chair here, which is really, really good. So I'm going to just bring my back away from the back of the chair, so I'm actually supporting, or I'm actually nice and upright without leaning back into the chair. So again, if you just want to come to the front of the chair a little bit, so you've got a little bit of connection with the seat of the chair, but you're not leaning back in it. Just bring the hands just wherever it feels comfortable, onto the tops of your thighs. And again, as we do when we're sitting on the floor, just draw yourself nice and tall. Close those eyes if that feels okay for you. Just take a couple of moments, as we always do, just to check into our breath, check into how we're feeling. And again, if you are doing this in an office, at a lunch break, you know, it's actually nice just to stop and just say, okay, this is my time for the next 15-20 minutes or so. Just stopping, just allowing yourself just to focus on yourself, just maybe noticing the sensation of your bottom of the chair, your feet on the floor. Just noticing how you're feeling, just to maybe ask yourself how you're actually feeling at this moment. The breath just moving in and out. What we're going to invite you to do now is we're going to do something called golden thread breath. It's also called feather breath, or it can be called a candle breath, but if you use those as a visualization, you've got pretty much an idea of what it actually is. What we're going to do is breathe in through the nose and then very gently just part the lips. And I want you to breathe out through the mouth, but we're not forcing that breath, we're just allowing it to just very gently ease out through the mouth. And it's almost like, imagine if you've got a feather in front of you, and just letting that breath just go over the little front of that feather. Or if you've got a candle in front of you, just imagine you're just very gently letting the air just leave your body and just noticing that candle flicker. If you're thinking of it as a golden thread breath, what we're trying to do is really help release any stress, any tension. So imagine as that thread, or that breath leaves you, imagine it's like a long thread that's just filling the room, a little golden thread just spiralling out of your body, just taking all that tension, all that stress out with you. So again, if you can come nice and upright, we'll do this for about sort of maybe a few moments. So breathing in through the nose, just parting the lips, just letting the breath leave of its own accord. So not forcing it, not pushing it out, just letting it leave the body. As you're breathing out, just allow those muscles to release, everything relax. Let's do one last breath, that golden thread breath. And bring your breath and the breathing back to normal. Wonderful. Just open those eyes up. We're just going to open up the side of the body, like pretty much what we do when we're on the floor. So let's just imagine we've got those arms by our side. Imagine we've got a couple of bags of heavy shopping. Well, let's put the shopping into that right hand, so we'll double the amount of weight of shopping in that right hand. And what we're going to try to do is keep both bum cheeks nice and level, and we're just very slowly just imagine that heavy shopping is just drawing the whole of that body down to the floor. So we're getting a nice little side stretch here on the left side. If that feels okay there, what you can do with your arms is bring that left arm overhead, as long as you just make sure that you're really stabilising those glutes onto your bottom so you don't fall off the chair, which we'll never do. And it's easily done. Back to centre. So we're moving that shopping into that left hand now. So again, just draw yourself nice and tall, slowly. Just imagine that shopping just very gently coming down towards the floor. Pulling that arm down, pulling the weight down. Nice stretching that right side again, bringing that right arm overhead if that feels okay in your shoulders. Don't forget you can keep your hand on that hip if you need to. Back to centre. Fantastic. So we're going to do a little bit of a twist. So let's bring your right hand into that left knee. The left hand can come just on the back of your chair or the back of the seat. Just twisting that chest around. Keep that breath nice and steady as you're doing this. Back to centre, second side. Back to centre. So we're going to do a few seated cat-cows. So very similar to, in the shape to like a normal cat-cow, you're dropping the belly down towards the floor or arching away. So the same sort of principle applies with the seated one as well. So if you bring your hands onto the front of your chair, what we do first, bringing the shoulder blades back, and let's just arch the chest forward, keeping the head nice and up. And we do the opposite, we're going to slowly just curve away from those knees, just pull the belly back towards your spine, put the head down between your shoulders or towards your chest. If you want to use that breath as we normally do, breathing in as you come forward, and out as you go back. And again, maybe do a few of these in your own time, because obviously your breath will probably be faster or slower than mine. Don't want to interrupt that natural pace of your breath. Just taking it easy, taking it slow. Wonderful. And slow, draw yourself nice and tall. Wonderful. So we're going to just come into a little bit of hip openers now. So you want to just bring your bottom to the front of the chair a little bit. We're going to stretch both those legs out in front of us. Bring those toes up towards your knees. Get a nice stretch on the back of those legs. I'm going to bend those knees now. Let's see if we can bring the heels off the floor. So just slowly raising those heels, raising those knees up a little bit. So again, really nice stretching into the ankles, into the legs. And lowering them back down. Come back up again. And then back down. And one more time. Raising those knees up and the heels off the floor. And then lowering them back down. Fantastic. We're going to do a little bit of moving of the hips now. So let's bring that, so we'll just grab hold of the top of that knee and slowly bring that right knee out to the side. And then back together. The left knee out the side. And back together. Try to keep the pelvis facing forward so you're not sliding around with your chair. So let's bring that right leg out to the side. So we'll try to open up the hip there. Right leg back. Left leg out. Left leg back. Okay, let's bring hands onto the backs of that right knee. Draw that knee in towards your chest. So you can either bring hands on the front of that knee or the back of the knee, whatever feels comfortable for you. Let's circle those ankles. I'm going to bring a bit more movement into the lower leg. So again, if you want to bring hold of the back of the thigh, you can slowly rotate those shins one way and the other. Now, we're going to see if we can place that right ankle on top of your left knee. Now if that's a little bit too strong in that right hip, what you can do by coming to the front of your chair, just straightening out that left leg a little bit, because what it does, it just lowers that angle a little bit, or you can bring your legs and just cross them at the ankles if that feels easier. What we're trying to do here is get a little bit more sensation in that hip. So obviously the knees probably in about right angles here. If you have problems with those knees, flex that right foot. So you can either stay in a nice upright position with your hands on the front of your shins, or you can slowly see if you can bring the chest forward again. So that's going to increase that pressure into that hip. So again, just be mindful of how that feels. Again, really keep that breath nice and steady. Gently releasing back to centre. Let's bring that right foot back down to the floor. Just pedaling out those feet a little bit. And we'll do the same on the left side. So let's bring that left leg in towards your chest, so either onto the front of that knee or the back of the thigh. Just drawing it in, maybe circling those ankles a little bit, just to release any tension in those ankles. And then bring your hands onto the back of those thighs and circle those shins, just releasing those knee joints. And then the opposite way. Just taking it easy, and then when you feel ready, we're going to bring that left ankle, just placing it on top of your right thigh just above the knee. And again, you can slide that right leg away a little bit and just move that top leg if you feel it's more comfortable. Again, flexing that foot just to protect that knee. Hands onto the front of those shins. So again, just really taking a couple of breaths here, noticing how that feels. Obviously, if you're in this other option here, you can still bring the hands onto the front of the knees, and you can still come forward if you want to. Also, just be mindful of how that feels. So again, keeping the chest nice and open. Let's slowly tilt forward if that feels okay. We're just going to increase that stretch into that hip, which may feel okay, it may not. Both feet back onto the floor, so we're just circling those ankles a bit, and pedaling out those feet. Let's bring the legs a little bit wider now, so we're going to just open them up. So if we're bringing them out the corner of your chair, so come to about 45 degrees, and again it's a bit like we're doing goddess pose here, it's a little bit like we did before with the knees over your ankles. So we're going to bring the hands just onto the inside edge of your knees, onto the thighs, and we're going to bring the chest forward. So again, you can just maybe stop here if that feels okay. We can go a little bit lower. See how that feels. Just keeping that breath nice and steady. So we're going to add a little bit of a twist in here. So we're going to drop your left shoulder down towards the floor. Let's just push your left hand into that left knee. You push your right hand into the right knee. Just to get that little bit of a twist round to the right. So you should feel this in your lower back. To centre. Okay, so I'm going to drop your right shoulder down, just twisting round to the left. Just taking it easy, noticing how that feels. If there are any twinges, just ease up a little bit. Slowly back to centre. Let's bring those knees together so you can heel toe those feet together a little bit more. We're going to come into a warrior now. So we can do warriors on a chair. So we're going to turn sideways onto our chair, so I'm facing towards the left-hand side, okay? So what you need to do is make sure that your left thigh is fully engaged into that chair. So it's nice to find a chair that's actually quite flat. If you've got one that curves up a little bit, the sides might be a little bit more comfortable underneath that knee. So with this right leg, we're going to just allow it just to drop down either towards the floor. So nice and bent, so you're not too much strain onto that hip. Or what you can do is straighten it behind you if you want to. We're going to be in warrior one. See how that feels. The other option you've got is to come into right angles there, but sometimes it's easier just to drop that leg down, push the tops of your feet to the floor, or just curl the toes under just to give you that support that you need. We're going to bring our arms above our head, gentle back bend, tuck your bottom underneath as you would do when you're standing. Let's bring your hand into your heart centre, into our Jolly Mudra. Do a little bit of a twist round towards that bent knee, so we'll twist round to the left, towards the back of your chair. Back to centre. Release those arms, so both our legs of the chair, and your left leg is just hanging over, so the tops of the foot come on the floor, curl the toes under if that feels comfortable. You can straighten out the leg behind you, just watch that lower back, or coming into right angles. I'm going to just drop that leg down because it's a little bit easier. So make sure you're well connected to support you onto that chair. Arms above over the head, gentle back bend. Hands down into your heart centre. Do a little twist to the right now, so slow twist the chest round towards the back of your chair. And check that breath. Slowly releasing back to centre. Let's bring both those legs back together. So we're going to do a standing downward dog now using the chair. So we're going to come off our chairs. So if you want to turn the back of your chair towards you. So with the downward dog, basically it's that right angle shape. It's really nice to do on the back of the chair, or you can also do it on the wall as well. So let's bring your hands onto the back of your chair. Just going to walk those feet back. So the weight will come back a little bit in towards your heels. So you might want to just make sure that you're pushing your bottom back a little bit. Bring the arms as wide as feels comfortable. And we're going to just bring the weight into the heels. Let's drop the head down between your arms. Get a really good stretch there. So you should feel it in your shoulders. You might feel it on the back of your legs. Release that head. Just take a few moments just to enjoy that stretch. So all the back of the body is nice and stretched. And slowly, let's allow ourselves to come back up, slowly walking those feet back in. We're going to ease ourselves back down into the chair. Just been connecting with that floor with your feet. Just a few rolls with those shoulders. Maybe just check how you're feeling. If there's anything you need to just release, just shake everything out. And then just come to the back of your chair a little bit more. So again, not bringing back into the chair, but it's nice to see it sort of upright. Bring the hands into your lap, maybe the palms facing up, just close those eyes. Just allow yourself just to centre on that breath for a few moments. Slowly drop the head down towards that chin. Bring your hands into your heart center. And again, just giving yourself thanks. Another day crossed off. Thank you as always for joining me. Namaste. So chair yoga is a little bit different from normal yoga, but the main thing is, you can do it in a chair and you can make it as dynamic or as gentle as you want it to be. I mean, you can do proper full warriors in a chair. If you're suffering from lack of strength in the knees and things, it's absolutely brilliant. So again, lovely to do, even if you're sitting down in a chair, just a little twist, just get yourself moving. So I will see you on day 13.